After taking a year off, AMC's Better Call Saul is back in the Emmy race in a big way. I'm Zach Laws of Gold Derby, and with me now is Bob Odenkirk. He just got his 4th nomination as Best Drama Actor, and he's also one of the nominated producers on this show. And Bob, it's really interesting the ways that we see this character who, we thought we knew all about from Breaking Bad. We see all of these different layers and all of these developments. And I just wonder, do you as an actor sometimes wish that Jimmy could just do the right thing and not fulfill his destiny of becoming Saul Goodman? Because I know as a fan, I certainly do sometimes.
The answer is yes. Very often, I wish that the character would make a more considered, patient, trusting choice. He obviously he's been burned a lot in his life and in his goals. His brother Chuck was never going to give him love and respect that he wanted, and that just really left him a mess. And he makes some poor choices because of his resentment and anger about that, and a feeling that the only avenue for him is to go is to do the wrong thing and take the shortcuts that are presented to him. So, but yes, often I want him to make the right choice. That's a real problem for all the actors on the show, because all the characters make choices that aren't so good, because we've now gotten to like these characters. After 5 years of playing them, we like them, and we want them to be good people. We want them to be better people. And I'm not sure that Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould believe in the notion of becoming a better person.
Right, yeah, and I think that's the tragedy of the show, and the tragedy of Breaking Bad as well, is you see these kernels of humanity, these moments where Jimmy is trying and failing over and over again, and you just want him so badly to succeed, but at the same time, that right in front of him is the destiny of becoming Saul Goodman. And I mean, certainly, in this season, we got to see that happen, a little bit further, up to even getting the name. Were you surprised when you were watching the season development that you were already at the point where he was going by the name of Saul Goodman?
Yeah, no, that was a strange jump. I've felt that we were getting very, very close to the character, and I've even made the joke to Peter and Vince much earlier on an earlier episode where I said, well, I guess all I need now are the lime green socks, and I'm done. But there's still a tortured thing happening within his soul, even now. In season 5, behind me is a puppy who's.
I've got one too, actually. So
there's a puppy who wants attention. And anyway, so yeah, and yet when he said Saul Goodman, and we sort of feel like now he's fully committed to the character. It's a sad moment, and it made me feel bad, and I wished we could have taken it back. I wish I even said to Vince and Peter something on the lines of, does he really have to do this? And they were like, yeah, he actually really does have to do it. He that's the show. But it hurt to feel that he had made that leap.
Yeah, I mean, it really, I sometimes find myself wishing they could just retcon the whole series, and then, Jimmy ends up with Kim happily ever after practicing law for disenfranchised youths or something. I mean, you really do feel that. And in this season also, you mentioned Chuck, and you really do feel his absence and the effect that has, for better or worse, on Jimmy. Can you talk a bit about how Chuck's death affects Jimmy in the ways that it does?
Well, there's a lot of conversation about that. He seems to not feel anything. He's a little derisive about the emotions surrounding Chuck's death, almost. I do think it's, you could see it as say it's unhealthy or unnatural, but I don't think it's either of those two things. I think he's lost the most important guidepost in his life. He's lost Chuck, and after having the realization that he would never, ever, ever gain Chuck's trust or love. And now, of course, that's for sure. That's a sealed deal because Chuck's dead. So he can't even try again. And so I think he's just so deeply devastated. And I do think it's a natural reaction sometimes to death that you compartmentalize to a strong degree, so that you're not thinking about the dead person. You're not thinking about your feelings on too deep a level. And that's how you deal with it. And as I said to Vince and Peter, as far as I'm concerned, Jimmy doesn't deal with Chuck's death in a moment or in a conversation or in therapy or anything quickly. The rest of his life is dealing with Chuck's passing. But in the episodes and the season of that we just saw, season 4, what you see is a guy just on a fully compartmentalized. He has just decided not to feel anything or think at all about the deeper ramifications of losing his brother. He's just made probably both a conscious and an unconscious choice that it can't look in that direction.
I was definitely sad to see him go, but happy to see him pop up in a couple of little cameo appearances this season, including in the last episode of the season, which is also your episode submission. Can you talk a bit about, well, number one, being able to work with Michael McKean again in that wonderful opening scene, but also why you chose that episode as your submission for the Emmys?
Well, I love working with Michael, always. We're chums, and we're both from comedy, and we have a lot to share and talk about in our careers, and he's had a longer, more illustrious career than myself in both comedy and now in drama. And he's just a great actor who loves the work and loves to think and talk about what we do, and has so many wonderful references. So we just get along great, and working opposite him is working opposite one of the best in the business, and you get better when you work with people that good, because their energy, the way in which they're grounded, it kind of pulls you in and just anchors you, and you can work off it. So I love working with Michael. I'm thrilled that he's nominated for an Emmy. I really hope he wins. I'm surprised to find out I think it's his first Emmy nomination, which shocks me. He's done so much. What was your other question?
Oh, just why you submitted that episode for your own Emmy submission.
I think it's it's an extremely weird moment, this moment at the end where Jimmy is getting tearful, and he gives this kind of very earnest speech to the judges where he explains that he was going to manipulate them by reading his dead brother's letter to him, but then he chooses not to, and he talks about how he's lucky to have the letter at all, and it feels incredibly honest, and it turns out that it's just a manipulation. So the complexity of that moment is something I'd like to show people, and I think it shows the character, the nuclear kind of formula of Saul Goodman, like what's going on a subatomic level with that character is happening in that last 10 minutes. The feelings, in my point of view, as the feelings he has for his brother are utterly true. That's how he feels. His world was rocked by losing Chuck. He loved Chuck more than anyone on earth. And so he's using, like a real actor, using his real feelings to feel something, to manipulate someone who is watching him. What he doesn't realize in that moment is how much he's manipulated the other love of his life, Kim, who also was moved by his commentary and kind of loved hearing that he was sharing his feelings about his brother, and was relieved for that and appreciated it. Then for her to find out that it was a manipulation is devastating to her, but he doesn't really see that.
Yeah, I definitely felt my heart sink watching that moment, and I think that Kim is sort of like an audience surrogate in that moment, because I think everybody watching the show just feels this horrible feeling in the pit of their stomach when they realize that Jimmy was using this all as just a manipulation. Can you talk a bit about, speaking of Kim, how that relationship has developed and changed in this season? Because it goes in some really interesting directions this year.
Well, Ray Seahorn plays Kim, was not nominated for an Emmy. Blows my mind. Don't understand that.
Should have been, definitely.
Maybe next year is her year of years, because she's, we're doing season 5 right now, and it's amazing, and she's again quadruply amazing as she's ever been. So hopefully next year is her year. I love working with Ray. We get along very well. We're friends, and we just work hard together to make this couple feel like a legit couple. I think that, one of the most intriguing things about the show to me is who Kim is, because she's got something weird in her past that allows her to participate in Jimmy's scams with some glee and desire. She's comfortable doing it, and she's up for it, which is very strange, because in every other aspect of her life, she's rigid and pursuing totally legitimate aims in the legal world. But then every once in a while, she's game for a crazy con job. And I think that, they've hinted in the past, right from the beginning, actually, Peter Gould has shared with me that, Kim has a past that probably includes a certain illicit, people in her life, whether she was participating in these things or her father or family were, I don't know, or a boyfriend or something. But she's not entirely alien to it when she meets Jimmy, and she embraces it at times. So the complexity of Kim is almost at this point more intriguing to me than Jimmy, who I know where he's going. I certainly feel like I know what motivates him. And I guess the most intriguing thing to me about Jimmy McGill is whether, when he's older, as Gene Takovic after the Breaking Bad sequence, if he learns anything, if he can reconstitute his life into something healthy or justifiable, ethical, who will he be then is very intriguing to me. But otherwise, I'm trying to figure out Kim, and I know the writers are too, and they're excited by that effort.
Yeah, it was so interesting to see that moment where after you guys have pulled off the scheme with Huel, that she wants to keep doing this kind of stuff, because it felt so outside of her character in that moment. But I mean, like you say, there's something in her past that draws her to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of season 5, we're all really eagerly anticipating it. Why are you guys making us wait so long for it?
Well, let me just say something. A lot of people are eagerly awaiting season 4. It played on AMC almost a year ago. I can't believe we got nominated for Emmys off a season of TV that you cannot see for almost a year, except on iTunes. But otherwise, unless you fly to Europe or Spain or China, or Latin America, I know Spain is in Europe, or Russia, you can't see season 4 of Better Call Saul. So it's just amazing that we were noticed and given this nomination for the show and for my work and for Michael's and Giancarlo, and so many great notices for the sound work. So I can't wait for people who love the show and who watch it on streaming services to watch season 4 that we're nominated for. Season 5 is going to be the greatest season we've done. There's no question to me. We're almost at the end of it shooting, and it goes places you can't fucking believe, and visually is stunning, and it's like these guys, it's what they did with Breaking Bad. They build, and then things start falling, and once they start falling apart, it just gets bigger and louder and crazier and more explosive. And that's where we're at with Better Call Saul in season 5, which will play sometime next year. Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess March, but it's just a guess. Why did they make us wait so long? I don't know. Maybe it had to do with the Breaking Bad movie. Maybe it has to do with wanting the last seasons to come closer together. That's my guess, actually, is that somehow there's a plan, and it seems to work in my mind that if they release season 5, next year in March or something, then season 6 won't take a year to come out. So maybe it's a desire to get some momentum into those last 2 seasons. Right. Maybe.
Well, I know I'm definitely looking forward to it, counting down the days.
Thanks, man.
Of course. Before I let you go, let me ask you, you are an Emmy-winning writer for your work on Saturday Night Live and the Ben Stiller Show. Can you talk a bit about what that recognition meant to you? Because that was pretty early on in your career, I believe. So, yeah. I mean, what did that give you, like a nice little boost to, keep on going?
Saturday Night Live was so hard for me in every way, professionally and personally, that the Emmy, I certainly didn't feel like I deserved that or was really even a part of it. We had not a huge staff, not like they have now. We had, I think, 14 writers, and of which really 9 of them were writing the show. And I was the last of those 9, you could say, in contribution. So it was fun to attend the event. It was neat to feel like I was part of Hollywood in some way. But really, it was just a extra thing that it was just a strange occurrence. The Ben Stiller Show was a different experience because I actually wrote most of the episode that we won the Emmy for, and also hard to believe we were even nominated, and crazy to believe that we won, because obviously a small show. We got canceled after 12. We were on opposite 60 Minutes, so the chances of winning it just seemed impossible. But it meant a lot more, and it meant a lot. It felt like I did feel vindicated as all that I learned at Saturday Night Live, and now I was at a place where I got to put it to use. And I felt like, it felt like it made me feel landed, like I could do this job and be a part of this community.
Yeah. Well, Bob Odenkirk, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on all the Emmy nominations, not just for you, but for the show as well. They are all well-deserved. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks. Good talking to you. Glad we could work it out.
Same here. And thanks to all you at home for watching. Make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons below, and make sure you visit us at goldderby.com for all the latest Emmy news.